Episode 2 of Alexander and the Tea Village. Alexander's eyes darkened with a hint of sadness as he replied, "You're perceptive, Paul, and you're not entirely wrong. You see, just after my car broke down, I was trying to flag down a passing vehicle, but to no avail. It was getting dark, so I quit this task and began walking in search of a nearby settlement." Paul leaned in closer, his eyes wide with curiosity, as Alexander began to recount the events that led to the crimson stains on his clothes. "I was walking for almost 2 hours when I came across a creature by the side of the road. It was already getting dark, so I couldn't get a close look at what it was, but I noticed it was deeply distracted, not even looking my way, despite me being within almost striking distance. It was then I noticed that the animal was eating something that was hidden by the roadside bush." The villagers listened intently as Alexander's story took an unexpected turn, their earlier concerns about tea momentarily forgotten. They wondered what he had encountered on that dark and lonely road. "Gentlemen and ladies, what I saw, I am hesitant to repeat, but I know, for the safety of this village, you must know." Alexander paused, a somber expression on his face, as he prepared to reveal the unsettling truth of what he had witnessed by the roadside. The villagers held their breath, their curiosity mingling with a growing sense of unease. "You see, people, the creature was a fox, and the thing he was eating was the body of an old man." A collective gasp rippled through the villagers, and their unease deepened into shock and horror at Alexander's revelation. The tranquility of their village had been shattered by this grim discovery, and questions hung heavily in the air about who the old man was and how he had met such a gruesome fate. "People, the story does not end there, for the old man had an axe stuck deeply into his face, like someone was cutting a cake." The villagers exchanged worried glances, and a sense of dread settled over them as they contemplated the gruesome details of the old man's death. The mystery surrounding Alexander's arrival and the stained clothing deepened, and they couldn't help but wonder if there was a connection between the two. Paul, the first to speak, in a stupidly confident chatter replied, "Well, I don't think the fox knows how to use an axe." A nervous laughter erupted from some of the villagers at Paul's comment, a feeble attempt to break the tension that had descended upon them. Nonetheless, the disturbing circumstances of the old man's death and the stranger's presence still cast a long shadow over the village. In an attempt to control the situation, Mr. Cole questioned Alexander. "Well, did you check the old man's clothes for any identification?" Alexander nodded, his face grim. "Yes, I did. I found a wallet with some identification, but it didn't tell me much. The man's name was Henry, but there was no address or contact information. It was as if he had no home or family." Mr. Cole struck back. "Well, what did he look like? His build? What was he wearing? One can tell a man's status from the clothes he is wearing." Mr. Cole looked Alexander up and down with a critic's eye. Alexander, feeling the weight of Mr. Cole's scrutiny, described the old man in as much detail as he could. He was of average build, dressed in tattered clothing that suggested he might have been homeless. His face was weathered, and he had a long, white beard. He looked like a man who had seen his fair share of hardship. Mr. Cole, unsatisfied with the description, pressed further. "That doesn't tell me much. Where exactly can we find his body?" Alexander provided directions to the location where he had discovered the old man's body, deepening the sense of urgency amongst the villagers. It was clear that they needed to investigate further to unravel the mystery behind this unsettling discovery. Just then, Mrs. Peters arrived in the middle of the congregation with a cheeky smirk. "Isn't anyone coming in for supper?" Mr. Cole, without taking his eyes off Alexander, replied, "Ma'am, get this gentleman a drink, something to eat, and a clean set of clothes. He will need energy, because after this, he will lead us to the body." Welcome to episode 3 of Alexander and the Tea Village. You've probably seen the summary by now, so let's just get started. Alright, so the last thing that happened was Mrs. Peters, she was inviting everyone in for supper. Mr. Cole, He says, "Get this gentleman a drink, something to eat, and a clean set of clothes." Let's just tell ChatGPT to come on. Let's continue with the story. I say one sentence. Yeah, I say one sentence. You say one sentence. You start. Cool, certainly, I'll start. As the villagers prepared to follow Alexander to the site of the grim discovery, a sense of apprehension filled the air. Oh, that's not what's going to happen. We're going to... Oh, well, you're going to skip the whole scene in the inn. Oh, crap. I was going to make some... I wanted to just talk about the food that they're serving there and the tea thing, but I guess we're going to skip over that. All right. Alexander led a group of about a dozen villagers into the woods. With Mr. Cole just behind him. Alexander, with his new clothes and full stomach, led a group of about a dozen villagers into the woods with Mr. Cole just behind him. I think based on the first two episodes, I only wanted to keep this about maybe eight episodes max, but considering that it's only been 2 episodes, and let's see how it goes, because I think this is going relatively slow. I was thinking of just doing like a short story, but maybe. Well, let's see what happens. So Alexander, with his new clothes and full stomach, led a group of about a dozen villagers into the woods with Mr. Cole just behind him. The woods grew darker as they ventured deeper, and the distant hoot of an owl added to an eerie backdrop to their journey. They walked and walked. They walked for 45 minutes until Alexander stopped and pointed at a scraggly bush by the side of the road. The villagers stood still until Mr. Cole walked up to the bush. Flashlight in hand. Mr. Cole carefully parted the branches of the bush, revealing a gruesome scene that sent shivers down the spines of the villagers. For just how Alexander had described it, There lay the body of an old man with an axe firmly stuck in his face. The villagers gasped in horror as their faces pale in the dim light of the flashlight. The sight before them was just as Alexander described, a gruesome and unsettling tableau. The villagers still fixated on the body, forgot lost sight of Alexander. It wasn't until he was at least 100 meters down the road when Mr. Cole shouted, "Hey you! Hey you! Stop!" Ah, no, he stopped. Oh, crap. Alexander, startled by Mr. Cole's shout, froze in his tracks and turned to face the villagers. Mr. Cole continued. "Stay there. Stay there. You'd come." What should happen? Alexander, startled by Mr. Cole's shout, froze in his tracks and turned to face the villagers. "Why did you run?" "No, stop. Stop. No, stay there. Stay where you are. Stay where you are." Mr. Cole, gesturing to two of the villagers, said, "Go and get him." Two villagers, determined but cautious, hurried down the road to catch up with Alexander, their eyes darting between him and the gruesome scene that they had just discovered. Alexander stood still. And let them catch. And stood still and let the villagers catch up to him. The villagers approach him. The villagers reached Alexander. Their nervousness, the nervousness shattered. And they grabbed Alexander by his arms. By his arms, and pulled him back towards the group. Alexander complied, offering no resistance as the villagers led him back to the group surrounding the grisly discovery. The tension in the air was palpable as they awaited an explanation from the stranger. Mr. Cole. So? Mr. Cole said. No, Mr. Cole. So? Care to explain what the hell that was? Alexander, his expression a mix of sorrow and frustration, replied, I can explain, but you need to understand. I'm not responsible for what happened to that man. I came across the scene just as you did. Mr. Coles. Still. Mr. Cole, oh. What should we do, guys? What should we do? Let's see what's happened. How many messages have we done this one? We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, so we've got 2 more. Let's see. I do at least want to finish this conversation. Alexander, his expression a mix of sorrow and frustration, replied, I can explain, because you need to understand that I'm not responsible for what happened to that man. I came across the scene just as you did. Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole smirked. Mr. Cole smirked. Why would you think only a guilty man runs? Why would you believe? Why do you think? Why do you think? Why do you believe we would think? Why do you believe we would think you are responsible for this murder? Mr. Cole smirked. Only a guilty man runs. Why do you believe we would think you are responsible for this murder? Alexander sighed,
realizing his hasty departure had cast suspicion on him. I apologize for running. It's just that I've had my share of trouble recently, and let me do that again. I forgot to do the accent. Alexander sighed, realizing his hasty departure had cast suspicion upon him. I apologize for running. It's just that I've had my fair share of trouble recently, and I didn't want to be falsely accused. As for the man, I truly have no connection to him. I found his body, just as I described earlier. Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole. A man with a great skill. With a great skill at Mr. Cole, a man with a great skill at gauging. But you haven't heard that word. At gauging the character of a man. Felt Mr. Cole, a man with great skill at gauging the character of with a great skill at gauging the character of his fellow men. And a man with a great skill at gauging the character of his fellow man. Oh my god, I'm really stuck. This is actually, I'm going to make this the last message. Just to keep to that 10 messages. I know I said earlier I'll try and make it longer, but we're already at about 20, going to be about 20 minutes. So this is going to be the final message for me. So, Mr. Cole, a man with great skill at gauging the character of his fellow man. Did not believe Alexander. Sorry. Was responsible for the crime, but you could tell that the stranger was hiding something. Just then, a villager shouted, "Mr. Cole, over here." I've just found something. Alright, I did the heavy lifting here. ChatGPT better do the rest of this one. Okay, yeah. ChatGPT, you finish the next sentences on a cliffhanger. Alright. So this is going to be the final. Mr. Cole, a man with great skill at gauging the character of his fellow man, did not believe Alexander was responsible for the crime, but he could tell that the stranger was hiding something. Just then, a villager shouted, "Mr. Cole, over here! I've just found something!" And then ChatGPT. Mr. Cole turned his attention to the villager's discovery, a sense of urgency replacing his skepticism about Alexander's involvement. As he approached the new development, he couldn't help but wonder what new piece of evidence might shed light on the mysterious death that had shaken their tranquil village. They chickened out of that. No, I'm not leaving you guys on that. They chickened out of that. We need to know what it was. Actually, let me give them another try. Actually, let me give fucking ChatGPT another try. Enter a few more sentences and explain what they found. End this on a big cliffhanger. I had to do that. I couldn't leave you guys on that. I couldn't leave you guys on the because it was like, then this was just like a dead episode. So let's see. Mr. Cole turned his attention to the villager's discovery, a sense of urgency replacing his skepticism about Alexander's involvement. As he approached the new development, he couldn't help but wonder what new piece of evidence might shed light on the mysterious death that had shaken the tranquil village. The villager knelt beside a small weathered notebook partially buried in the earth. He carefully unearthed it, revealing a diary with pages that had yellowed with age. As Mr. Cole opened the diary, his eyes widened in shock, for the first page held a startling revelation. It was Henry's diary. Oh no shit. Fucking next to the man, isn't it? The very man whose body they had discovered. It seemed to contain a chilling account of the days leading up to his death, written in trembling handwriting. But what struck them all was the final entry. "I know they're coming for me. The secrets I hold are too dangerous. I have to hide it where no one will find me. I hope they never do." Dun, dun, dun. This is getting pretty exciting now. What the hell? Why the hell is Alexander there? We still need to figure that out. But that is episode 3. Let me know if you're enjoying this. If you want me to continue, or if you have some suggestions on how I can conduct this a bit better and make it a bit more entertaining for you guys, comment below. But without further ado, ciao.